Joining me today is retired Colonel Clint Granger. And Clint, you were part of the Vietnam experience, and I can't ask somebody who saw it at the beginning and saw it at the end not to think about that and reflect sort of what lessons can we learn for today. Because when I think about it, you've got Americans fighting a war that is not popular. It may not be as unpopular as the Vietnam War was, but certainly, you know, there's some parallels with what's happening in the Middle East.
Oh, there are. We should not be deeply involved in an area where we do not have a national interest and where we cannot probably win. The Middle East is a good example. What do we do now? Do we have friends there? Not too many. Are they effective military forces? No, not really. I suppose the only real friends we have there are the Israelis and the Jordanians. And if you stood on that one river that runs between the two, then you realize they're not very good friends themselves. Yeah? So what do we do now? Well, if you go to war, go and fight to win. If you're going to go in for political purposes, then you're losing lives to no real value.
So have you advised presidents in the past, Nixon, Ford, if you were advising now, based on your experience, what would you say about what we should do? I mean, we're in, right? And so the question may be, how do you get out?
The question was not up to the president. The Congress did not supply the money to supply the South Vietnamese. Again, as I mentioned earlier, they were down to one artillery round per artillery piece per day. And their aircraft were grounded, maybe half the air fleet, because of lack of spare parts. Same with the tanks. Maybe half were really combat capable. Spare parts, money.
So then our allies, right, didn't really have the resources to fight that.
No, they did not. And
today, though, if you look at the Middle East, do our allies have the resources to fight the war they're in?
Probably not. After all, the United States is the only country in the entire globe, maybe China approaching, that has the industrial resources, the will, and the money to support a big military operation. Not easy.
No, and should you know, I want to circle back. If you were advising the president today, and you're advising about the Middle East, and you're saying, look, these are the lessons I learned, this is the general advice I'd give, what would it be?
Stay out. Don't become involved in something you can't win.
But we're in Afghanistan.
We are.
How would you get us out?
I would withdraw everything, get all of our people out, and let courses, who knows what will happen in another decade or two. No sense in trying to outguess it. Get out and save lives and money now, mostly lives.
And what about Syria? Should we expand involvement there?
There, if we could do it as part of a coalition, so that all the free world is together on the thing, yes, that might be worthwhile. That might be successful. But to have the United States go in alone is not very practical.
How do presidents not get entangled in these actions? I mean, again, the lessons that you learned, but the president sort of got entangled with this. I know your general advice is don't go in unless you're going to win, but how do presidents stay out?
They get entangled the same way that any human being gets involved in something they shouldn't. I can do some good piece of work here. How did we get into Vietnam? Back to that again. How did we get in? Kennedy. You know, very minor things. People think we went to war in Vietnam in the year that we put in a 1st Division, the Marines went in and so on. We were there for almost 5 years before as advisors, as special forces. And I remember that rather well because the Special Forces people came out of 1st Special Forces Group, which was on Okinawa, and I was there.
So you saw our involvement.
I saw it.
And what year was this?
62.
So well before really people think about the beginning of the war.
People didn't even know where it was.
So your advice to presidents today:
don't become involved unless you can win, and you can do it at a reasonable cost.
All right, well, we're going to have to end the show on that. Thank you very much, Colonel.
Thank you.